Yo, 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 what's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to yet again another fantastic indie creator interview. It's your Cape Code, and we're keeping it geekly with our new guest, Grant DeArmitt. We're here to break down RATATOSK Book 1 and that glorious mustache. Backstage, I was telling you how jealous I was. I should have shaved. Man, you are keeping it strong with that thing. Grant, welcome to the show. How are you doing this morning, man?
Thank you very much. I'm doing great. I am honestly fantastic. It's cooled down since yesterday, so I'm loving that.
Oh yeah, it was humid and sweaty. My significant other had to get a tooth extraction, and I had to wait in the car. And it's one of those things where my AC condenser is like clogged, so it's like if I turn on the AC, the floor start getting wet. So I was just sweating back there, and I'm like, man, I can't do it. Can't do it.
Man. And waiting at the dentist too. That's like a double punishment. That's one of the circles in Dante's Inferno.
Oh yeah. There's several, and I think that is right there, near right the heart of it. So Grant, before we get too deep in the roots of hell, let's begin with you. Who are you, and how did you get into creating comics?
How did I get into creating comics? Okay, so I mean, I've loved comics for years and years. My first comic that really connected with me was Hellboy the Conqueror Worm. Mm-hmm. And it just, I don't know, it opened some doors for me. And then in college, I started meeting a couple. So I grew up in really rural Pennsylvania, and there wasn't any comic scene around me. Yeah. Then I moved to New York for school. And so I started going to, Midtown Comics, JHU, all these great places. And I just felt so immersed, and it was kind of impossible not to want to create something because of the fact that I was surrounded by such cool stuff. Then I started to go to the Comic Cons, and really just tale as old as time, right? You can't be around this stuff for too long without thinking I just want to be a part of it. You know what I mean? I want to be doing this. I want to be making it. So I seriously started writing comics maybe in 2018, I would say. And came up with a couple scripts. Didn't really have anybody to share that with. But then I think it would have been in 2019, I suppose. There was this artist that I had followed on Twitter for a while. Their name's Lane Lloyd.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. We know Lane.
Yeah, Lane's amazing, yeah.
Yeah, their stuff is just unlike anything else. And I think it was them that posted, hey, I'm looking for a writer to work with, or something like that. So I reached out, and we started just bouncing ideas around. We both love big monster-y stuff. So we came up with this idea for a vampire creature that feeds on suns, like the centers of solar systems.
I love it.
Yeah. So a little bit of Galactus there. Our pitch was, what if Jack Kirby created Dracula? What would that look like? And we came up with something called Hunt for the Soul of War, which we pitched around a little bit, although I'm just going to use that term lightly, pitched, because I think what I was doing was a lot more shouting at publishers.
A little bit more guerrilla tactic warfare. It's all right. We all learn.
Yeah, I think I got an email that was like, hey, Grant, if you're gonna pitch me something, try giving me access to the Google Doc. And I was like, hopefully that's improved. But when we got a couple no's, we just said, well, let's take this to Kickstarter, and had a very, very successful campaign. And now it's out in the world. Hunt for the Soul of War. You can go buy it on Lane's site. And so that was the first big project. And since
then, I gotta ask real quick, not to cut you off, but a vampire that feeds on the sun, that's their weakness. How do you kill this thing?
Yeah. That's the question.
All right, all right. Hey, you got to go to Lane's site to buy the book to find out. Fair enough, fair enough. Okay, go. So go ahead, Grant, before I interrupted.
Oh no, just that was the first big project that really was, because comics is collaborative, right? And
Yeah.
that was the first big comics collaboration that I did. And then after that, I've been pitching some stuff. I got accepted into an anthology called Containment Breach Volume 2.
Let's go. Congratulations. I think I interviewed them not too long ago, too.
Yeah. Oh, they're great. Fugitive Poems. They're
yep.
phenomenal. Yeah. Really, really, really
funny
passionate.
dudes. I love it.
Yeah. And they have that great producer skill. You know what I mean? That like talent for kind of wrangling creators and, I don't know, making sure everybody's on deadline and stuff like that, which is not easy.
Deadlines are tough, yeah.
Yeah. And so yeah, this is the third. I think this would be like kind of the third major thing that I'm doing. RATATOSK. So yeah, that's kind of the.
Well, hold on. You got a IMDb for Untitled Zombie Comedy as well. I did some digging, Grant. I found a little. So what's that about? You got a movie title too, or credit?
Something in the works. Yeah. A production company reached out to me. A while ago, like 2014, 2015, maybe. And we've just been working together to build this short zombie film. Obviously delayed by, life stuff. And I mean, I think we really started writing it, I want to say, in like, well, no, I guess that would have been 2019 as well. But then like beginning of 2020, which
yeah.
Then, but I can't say too much about.
Yeah, no, I got it.
Yeah. Just because the people working on it still are waiting to announce. But yeah, so a little bit of script stuff too. I don't know. I definitely don't want to, like, I love comics and I want to work in comics for years and years, but I definitely want to just keep experimenting outside of the medium too. You know what I mean? Writing,
because there's more you could do with a video than a comic, right? Like,
yeah. Well, I don't know about more.
Well, they both kind of have
different things. Yeah. But I also have recently been trying to get a little bit into the interactive fiction space.
Okay.
Kind of like the choose your own adventure sort of thing.
Oh, that's so cool.
It's been great. It's been really, really fun to just like, it's a weird muscle to practice.
That's so cool. And I mean, outside of, the IMDb, the two comics that you're working on, or have worked on, you also do work for Newsarama and Popverse as well. So you are a journalist on top of all that, just a man of many trades. I love it.
Well, thank you very much. That's a huge compliment. Yeah, I've been with Newsarama for a very long time, since 2015 or 16. And then Popverse is more recent. Chris Arendt, who used to be an editor at Newsarama, is basically the person that started Popverse, as I understand it. At least he was a major force in starting Popverse. And so I pitched to him and have been writing for them, and that's been a blast.
That's so awesome. So, I mean, did your love or did your interest in wanting to create a comic come from that? Like just writing about them and being involved in the articles?
It's one of those things that like bounces off of each other and kind of, I don't know, that they each kind of grew each other.
Okay.
Right? Because, I think when I first started getting into comics journalism, I got to talk to these people that were, my first comics interview was, unfortunately, it's a lost interview now, but my first comics interview was Walt Simonson. So like you can't talk to Walt Simonson and not be like, I have to create comics. Like I have to do this.
Were you nervous?
Oh my God.
Your first interview, it's like, come on guys.
Yeah.
Ease me in.
Yeah. I was like sweating, dude. But he was great. He answered all my questions. With he was so forthcoming and stuff. So yeah, that obviously makes you want to do more of the more of the work as a creator. But then I don't know, when you do this stuff as a creator, then that kind of like unlocks questions that you have for other creators, right?
Yeah.
What's their process, and you can compare that to yours. And so yeah, it's one of those things that really builds on itself. It's almost like a chicken and the egg thing. I can't really say which one inspired the other as much.
And that's kind of like my thing too. I do interviews. You're what, 394, I think. So I've talked about comics a lot, and that's since last year. So that's not even like that long ago. And I've talked to a huge variety of just all different calibers of creators, artists, and everything in between. And it's like I have so many ideas bustling in my head, and now I have so many different catalysts on how to approach it. But it feels like I don't know how to explain it. Like I want to come out with my script, I want to come out with my idea, but it's like I hope it doesn't suck, because I have like so many people who want to read my first script, and it's like it's like imaginary pressure is just amounted. You know what I mean? Like everybody wants to just support me and help me, and it's just like I feel like the opposite. I'm like, oh my god, there's so many eyes peering at me, waiting for me to drop this thing. Like,
oh yeah, I mean that barrier is one that's just like constantly with you. Like, is this thing gonna be bad? Because like you're your own worst critic, and of course it's never as bad as you think it's gonna be. But I mean, there have definitely been points where like I've been like I've looked back on stuff and realized I could have done this a lot better. And I don't know, you just kind of have to be.
That's growth, right?
With that, yeah.
So let's dive into RATATOSK Book 1. I mean, we did a good job of building up who you are and how you got to this point. Now let's talk about this, the first chapter of a 3-issue miniseries. We have Cassie Aubert searching for her brother's disappearance. And she's like an investigator, and some crazy stuff happens. That's kind of just a little hint I got. These interiors look gorgeous. I love just kind of her demeanor, her personality. She gives it feels like the big F you to authority. She's not even being arrested, and she's like, I want to talk to my lawyer. I don't even care if you're not, pressing charges. Lawyer, like, you start off with such a good cliffhanger as someone who, is really immersed into the horror genre. I love just that initial, like, you think something's about to get her and it's a cop. Like, it's just like the perfect, like, like climatic buildup, and it's like, poof.
I'm so glad that came through. That was absolutely the intention.
So, where did this all begin for you? Like, with this book? Like, where did the inspiration come from?
Well, so a little while ago, I put out a tweet that was essentially, do you know the comic Creepy? It was
I believe so.
Yeah. It was they tried to build off of the success of EC comics of the 50s. So like the Crypt Keeper.
Okay,
yeah, that kind of it's that kind of thing. I think it's actually where the character Vampirella came from, maybe it was just the same publisher. I don't know. Anyway, I put out this tweet that was like, "Hey, would anyone want to do a creepy-esque anthology with me?" And the person that commented was this artist named Armando Zanker, who is, I mean, phenomenal. Like the fact that Armando's not already on several publishers' payroll is a mystery to me, truly. And so we just kind of started brainstorming, what that would look like. Part of what we were doing was submitting to an anthology that ended up not working out. But we just started talking about, what kind of horror stuff we like. We both love monster stuff. Specifically, we both love the movie Krampus.
Okay.
I don't know if you've seen the Christmas horror film Krampus. There's this like really cool wilderness creepiness about the character of Krampus. He's got these giant goat's horns that stick out of this hood. And so we both decided that we would like to tell a story kind of in that monster / folklore kind of space. And I went looking for characters in mythology that could kind of fit that bill, and we landed on something called RATATOSK. There's an R at the end of that. RATATOSK, who is a squirrel from Norse mythology that goes up and down the world tree, basically trying to piss off its inhabitants.
That was in God of War Ragnarok.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah, dude. Let's go.
Yeah. Yep. RATATOSK. And so what was great about this character is that there's very little actually written about him. I mean, he goes up and down the tree. It goes up and down the tree. It tries to make people mad, and that's kind of it. So there was so much room to play there and to create off of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I threw the idea at Armando, and Armando liked it. And when we realized this would be like something we were both committed to, we started looking for a letterer and a colorist. I came up with a couple colorist options, and the one that Armando suggested was Shan Benyon, because they have this dark fantasy sort of like painterly style is how I've been describing it, maybe incorrectly. And it's so perfect for setting the mood, because a lot of this horror book is really just mood. You know what I mean? It's you're not going to get too much gore, no promises, but not going to get too much gore. You're going to get a lot of just like dread, and the colors are so important to that. And then Lucas Gattani ended up being our letterer. Lucas's profile online, you can go see it. He's
prolific.
He's on the Blue Beetle book right now.
Yeah.
Right now, he's doing the Blue Beetle book.
There's probably been like, out of the hundreds of interviews I've done, like probably 50 or 60 of them have had books lettered by Lucas,
So, that's like the fact that he's even working with us is amazing. And you can see just from the 5 preview pages his creativity and sort of ingenuity in creating the poem that begins the book.
So I really, really love how dark it is, and with the Krampus thing, I often wonder what about that just hits that different level of like horror and dread within you. I mean, there's so many different types of horror out there, and it's like when you get to the body horror type where they put like creatures, like body parts of creatures with the body, like I don't know what it is about that type of thing, but it's just like it's like uncanny, I guess. It unlocks like a new level within your mind. It's like, dude, what is this thing? This thing is horrific. What made you guys want to dive into this part of horror?
I mean, I think folk horror is so cool just because there's this like built-in other world. Well, I mean, we're gonna get through this sentence together. There's this built-in sort of like otherworldliness that comes from our own world.
Yeah.
Like,
yes.
It is staring out into the woods at night is a terrifying experience.
Yes.
The more details come to you, somehow the less familiar it becomes. And folk horror has this amazing tradition of just tapping into that very natural feeling. Honestly, hell, I wonder if it's even like sort of an evolutionary thing.
Yes, like the Skinwalker thing. I dived into this huge Skinwalker rabbit hole, and it's that's the thing. Like, are the way our bodies, like through evolution, like the way we grow, like our sense of like we should run from this because in the past this thing has killed us. That's where they think we get the sphere of from like skinwalkers and that type of horror is like these things look just like us and they were killing us, and like in the past we were forced to run from them, and it's like within our body it invokes that sense of dread. At least that's kind of what this rabbit hole thing I listened to, and it makes a lot of sense, and it makes it even scarier. Like, I don't know. I don't want to think about skinwalkers being real. Like, that is terrifying.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. Exactly that. It's primal fear. There's
yes, primordial fear. Yeah,
it's in our blood, you know. So it's obviously just a very exciting concept to work with.
I'm happy we were on the same page because I had such a smart idea and I could not find the smart words to go with that idea. So I was like, I hope Grant's picking up what I'm throwing out there. Like,
yeah, absolutely, yeah. No,
so that writing process, you know, when you set down the script, how did that look like with the artist? Did you kind of let the artist take their own vision and go with it, or did you have a strict guideline you wanted them to follow?
So my writing process is this: I sit down and loosely come up with what's going to happen in the full story and then the issue. And when I say loosely, I just mean like I don't ever want to get to a place where like my first idea is the only idea that I allow myself to have for a story. You know what I mean? I don't want to like box myself in before the project's even started. So allowing for changes, I come up with what's going to happen in the overall story and then how many pages the story is going to be. After that, I break down the story into pages, into however many pages I decide, and roughly decide what is going to happen on each page. I put that right at the top, like what's going to happen on each page. And then the scripts that I write after that are pretty much just suggestions for the artist. You know, I'm like detailed, I'm wordy for sure. And I try to get across really specific things, but, you know, I kind of come to my artist and just say like, this is what needs to happen on the page. If my dialogue doesn't help that, then leave it. If my descriptors of the scene don't help that, then leave those. So yeah, it's really just a lot of just conveying the ideas more than it is sticking to like specific images that I have to have in this page. Does that make sense?
And yeah. Last but not least, like, I mean, what goes into taking a little bit of Norse mythology and turning it into folklore horror? I mean, was that challenging at all?
Yeah, a little bit. It was really fun though, because I think the okay, wow, it's gonna sound like I'm dissing superheroes, and I am not. Can you put that disclaimer at the top of the? Okay,
all right.
A lot of mythology has translated into superheroes. I mean, Wonder Woman is Greek mythology, Thor, obviously, and when that happens, even though it, of course, is a brilliant move, when that happens, you get these like really concrete ideas about the gods and about myths. For example, like, how big is a frost giant in Norse mythology? In the actual mythology, it's very unclear. Like, in fact, the term giant might even be a misnomer, I think. I don't quote me on that. But in comics, you're telling these stories about these very like tangible things that happen, right? You know, Thor has a power set, the giants have a power set, and a lot of storytelling is holding to those. And that's not saying that there's not room to make mythology weird again. I just finished Al Ewing's Loki, Agent of Asgard, and there's so much of that weirdness in the Norse myth translated into that comic. But all that to say, it was fun to remove those definites and remove those specifics from Norse mythology and just treat these characters as bigger than concepts, things that our tiny mortal minds aren't totally supposed to understand. You know what I mean?
No, I love that too, and that's why I wanted to ask that question, because like the way you were able to kind of break those boundaries and do that for the reader's mind, I think is outstanding. And I think right now it'd be a perfect segue. Let's pull up the Kickstarter and let's go through all this hype together. So everyone that is watching, give us a few seconds. We're going to be adding this to screen, and then I'm going to be putting this link in chat. If you could back this, we would love to see that happen today. But if you can't, we understand. Put this link on Facebook and Twitter. Word of mouth is 100% free. It costs you nothing to do. Literally cost a few seconds. You could just copy and paste that link and post it if you want. Save yourself a couple characters, but put a nice thing in there. This book is fantastic. We are looking at RATATOSK Book 1. She came to Vermont to find a missing person. Something else found her instead. Currently at $2,294 of a $6,750 goal with 86 backers and 21 days left to go. So you said this was your second Kickstarter?
Well, so this is the second Kickstarter project that I'm involved with, but this is the first one that I'm running with Soulcore. Lane ran the page.
You're doing all the management this time around, though.
Yes, exactly.
How you feeling?
I was talking about. I feel like I'm learning a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, Kickstarters can be very stressful. I mean, I often hear from a lot of creators, they don't, people getting into this don't realize like there's more to than just creating a comic. You have to market it. People won't know about this comic unless you can talk about it, right? Like,
oh yeah, I mean, you got to find your audience. You got to, I will say, the biggest thing that I have learned about Kickstarter is you got to support other Kickstarters.
Yep.
That truly, I mean, first of all, you should be doing that because it's like, it's the right thing to do, right? Like we're all a part of the community. When one of us succeeds, we all succeed. But also, I mean, like that's how we succeed is together. So, I got to promote your thing, you got to promote my thing, and we got to keep it, we got to keep it rolling like that. Because otherwise, this really just does not happen in a vacuum.
I am loving the setting so far. I mean, we have a gloomy, dark looking forest, a whole crap load of squirrels, and then all of a sudden it starts. I just love this coloring, how it just slowly transitions to like a more ominous red.
Yeah. That's Shan. And like I was saying earlier, it like, look at just the mood on that first page. Like it without any words, it tells you exactly what this story is going to be. Set in the woods, so it's that wild, folky kind of horror, and then with real dread, with real stakes by the end of the page. And
it looks like things are about to get nuts. I'll allow it. And then, of course, I love this lettering too. So where we start to see that poem you were talking about, and just the lettering, the way it looks is just gorgeous.
Thank you. Yeah, that's all Lucas. Lucas was great at coming up with this font here. So the sort of idea behind starting it off with a poem is I was inspired by the most recent film version of Macbeth, the one that Denzel Washington's in. Mm-hmm. And it's the Weird Sisters starting it off with the... I forget which poem it is, but the three sisters start off that play, and it's just like it's so atmospheric, and hearing the rhythm of the poem really sets you up for something terrible that's going to happen. So I told all that to Lucas, and Lucas came up with this like very mythic looking way to put poetry on the page. You can see there's like some, like the lettering is a little bit Greek inspired.
One thing I really love too is the way you set it up. This was what I was talking about earlier. We have all these squirrels running up this tree. We have Cassie right there. You see the squirrels on the branches, and I love just how subtle it is. It's like negative almost. It bleeds right into the gutter. You can almost not see it unless you're looking for it. And you got the shadow right there too. It looks like Cassie's about to get murked. I mean, all these are, we got the claw reaching right for her. And then the second she turns around, it's a cop. It was like the perfect setup because you thought some shit was about to go down. It's like, okay, you're going right for the throat in the beginning, but it's not. And I love, right here, it's like, oh shit, you know, her, you know, in the forest and then at the cop station. And this interaction is just so humorous as well. Just, you know, every other word just lawyer. So, you know, Casey knows her stuff. But we don't know why she's here yet. I thought this was a perfect kind of teaser as well to get the reader just immersed in this world.
Good. Excellent. So glad to hear that.
Yeah, awesome interiors. Guys, right there is the link. Be sure to check it out. Let's go through some of these tiers as well. So we'll let it chill right on the interior. We have the Journey Rune at $5 or more. So this is going to get your name on the thank you page and a digital copy of book 1. How many pages is this going to be?
24 pages.
24 pages. So outstanding price on that. $10 or more, you're going to get the Willpower Rune. That's going to get you everything listed above, plus a physical copy of the book as well. So an outstanding price at $10. At 20 or more, you get the Community Rune, which is going to get you everything listed, but instead of that physical copy, you're gonna get a variant copy of book 1. Let's go ahead and look at cover A real quick. This is gorgeous. And then we have, is the variant on here yet or no?
Not yet.
Okay.
The variant that is a Blair Witch Project homage.
Oh, that's so cool.
Phenomenally talented Rio Burton is going to be revealed next week.
That's, you know, you got the flashlight, you got that's like the perfect setup in the woods. Like, I cannot wait to see how that's gonna look. So you get the $20 or more, you get the Rio Burton variant cover. At 45 or more, the Sun Rune. So you're gonna get a digital copy, a physical copy, and then 2 each variant copy of book 1. The Vision Rune, you're gonna get a physical copy and then a custom sketch by Armando. So is that gonna be any sort of character that they want, or is there certain, you know, guidelines to this?
Absolutely. And if you scroll down there, you can see some examples of what you're gonna be. Yeah, right there. So it's character busts. I mean, I love these. Both Armando and I are giant Etrigan fans. So like when he sent me these examples and there was an Etrigan in there, I was freaking out because it's gorgeous.
You think he did it on purpose?
Oh, I hope so. I certainly hope so.
Yeah.
Or if he just had that lying around and decided to throw that to me, that just proves that like it
was meant to happen.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And then all gone. So that's it, guys. Awesome tiers here. Love the introduction to the creative team as well. And I was going over your goals. I mean, it looks like most of this is just going to the creator team and then printing and shipping as well. So I love how you're making sure you're taking care of the creative team involved as well.
That was from moment one. That was the biggest consideration. Like I was saying earlier, you know, we're all in this together kind of thing, and we need to make sure that we're making sure we have the actual money coming in, you know what I mean, to do this, because these artists deserve to be compensated. Absolutely.
So Grant, for anyone who might be on the fence about backing this fantastic book, what would you like to say to them to kind of help push them over that fence?
That is an excellent question. Okay. This story is very much about rage, and about being lost, kind of in that. As you mentioned earlier, the thing that drives Cassie. So Cassie is a missing persons expert that operates outside the law. The thing that drives her is the loss of her brother years and years ago. And I just feel like right now there are so many of us that are dealing with some sort of loss. Even if it's just like we kind of lost our idea of what the world was supposed to be. And this book is very much about just like dealing with that, and how it's difficult and terrifying. And I don't know, I think it's a story for our times is what I'm going to end with, maybe. But if that doesn't sell it, I mean, guys, just wait till you see Armando's RATATOSK design. It happens in book 2, and it seriously, it is like something out of Guillermo del Toro's Notebooks.
Ooh,
it
I love that.
But its own thing as well. You know what I mean? It is. Just,
I love that.
When I first saw that monster design, I was blown away. So,
and guys,
it's worth it. It's worth it just for that design.
I was gonna say, and guys, if you've seen Rick and Morty, you know you don't want to piss off the squirrel. So back this book today, because you might have your universe get ended if not. So Grant, outside of that, what's next for you in 2023? I know we mentioned that indie film. We won't touch on it too much, even though I need to know more. There's spoiler territory. Is there any other books or anthologies or anything else you're doing for the rest of the year?
RATATOSK really is the big project. Hopefully once this gets funded, the next step is just books 2 and 3. It'll be great once this is, once this is off Kickstarter, right? So I can start to learn about what it takes to use that money to make the project. And this will be my first venture into fulfillment, which is exciting. So that's a big part of the year for me. And then creatively, I'm in conversations with some other folks about some potential comics. But those are just ideas. Nothing definite yet. RATATOSK. This really is the year of RATATOSK for me.
All right, let's go. I love it. So, Grant, I know this is your first time being on the show, but I love to end it on a strong note. So we always love to ask for a little bit of advice first. So for anyone who is looking into just getting started writing, getting started with that first script, putting that word vomit on the page and making something from it, what would be your biggest piece of advice to kind of help them on that journey?
Listen to other writers, honestly. Because of capitalism, right? We have this idea that like we've got to be the writer, you know what I mean? And I know like this definitely was my early experience when I'd find myself in a room with a lot of writers early on when I was getting into comics. I'd be like, I want to be networking with artists and letterers and stuff like that. And of course you have to do that, and that's very exciting, but you also need to listen to the writers around you. Get their feedback, share stuff. They're a resource for you, and they should be. They're not competition. So honestly, that's something that I wish I had known a little bit earlier on. Now I know it, and I'm having a great time.
I think that competition aspect, that goes for a lot of different things, podcasters too.
Oh, yeah.
We all, for a long time, I wanted to band together with a lot of people because it makes sense, like working together. And, it took a lot of time, but like, I feel like a big chunk of us got there. Once we all realized, hey, if we do this together, we're going to yield more, effective results than just trying to gatekeep. I wouldn't even say gatekeep, but just stay in your own circle and not evolve that circle,
Yeah, right. It sucks that because that mentality really does feel so, I don't know, it feels like you when you're getting into something creative like podcasting, that mentality is there at the beginning, and it stinks because I think it's something that holds us back.
Yeah, it's a hindrance almost, like, because I mean, there's going to be stuff that that I have no clue about, and vice versa. Yeah. You could always learn something from someone, I feel.
Yep.
Even if it's the learning how not to do something, you could still from anyone. So, Grant, before we let you go, outside of creating, what are you consuming? TV shows, video games, comic books, books.
I just binged the 3rd season of I Think You Should Leave. I have watched that show, the first 2 seasons, more times than I can count. I am playing through Breath of the Wild. Haven't gotten into Tears of the Kingdom yet, and for sake of the work that I can do this year, I'm probably not going to get into it for a while. And then comic-wise, what am I reading? Waiting for me, I have The Seasons Have Teeth because I love Dan Waters.
That's a good name too. I like that.
Yeah. Man, what else am I reading right now? Couple of indie books. I'm still waiting to crack into Blood and Obsidian. And oh man, I'm so behind on my Kickstarter comics.
I have so many people who are upset because on Twitch right now I'm currently streaming Tears of the Kingdom, and I never finished Breath of the Wild. Okay. And so I have all those the Zelda mega fans who are like, well, actually, you should have played Breath of the Wild first. And I'm like, all right, I'll get there when I get there. All right. Like,
So I am watching Better Call Saul, and I've never seen Breaking Bad.
oh, but,
And
you know, so
I get that same kind of reaction. Like, what are you doing? Why? No, you have to do this other thing first.
Better Call Saul is definitely a good standalone season. I think it makes a lot of it hits, the beats hit harder if you know why they're hitting, you know.
Yeah.
But I think if you watch Better Call Saul first and then you go into Breaking Bad, it's going to open up Breaking Bad in so many different ways. Like, I wish I almost had that opportunity. You know what I mean? When you consume a series and you're like, I wish I had that opportunity to consume it again because it was so
In
good.
a different way. Yeah,
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because the writers of Better Call Saul actually got paid to rewatch Breaking Bad and make sure continuity stayed in check.
Oh, that's cool. Oh, I love
Yeah.
that. Cool. It's cool that they got paid for that. I definitely got that sense. There was that episode in, like, let's say season 2 of Better Call Saul where it pans out and the Los Pollos Hermanos logo is in frame, and I didn't know what that was at that point, so I was like, it didn't hit for me, but I could feel like, oh, this is a big moment. This is like a beat.
Mhm.
And I learned what it was after, obviously.
I'm almost wondering if how that are you planning on watching Breaking Bad after?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I wonder how that's gonna feel.
Yeah.
Like, cause make sure you watch El Camino at the end though.
Okay. Yeah. Cool.
Because
Definitely.
that's the movie. That's Jesse Pinkman's like standalone movie kind of. Yeah. So do you know how Breaking Bad ends?
I don't know how Breaking Bad ends.
Wow, that is impressive because it's been out. I ain't gonna spoil it for you, but you definitely need to check it out if you like Better Call Saul. I think, you know, and that's the big thing too. People are all up in arms. Better Call Saul feels like, I love Saul Goodman. Like, that was one of my favorite characters from Breaking Bad. So
character.
yes. Oh my God. We could do a whole podcast on Breaking Bad and Saul Goodman, but we have to wrap things up. Grant, thank you so much for swinging by. Everyone watching, right here is the link to back this campaign. Make it happen today. And if you can't, simply put this on Facebook and Twitter. Word of mouth is 100% free. That being said, it's a lovely, lovely, Saturday? Time to hang out, have a blast on the weekend. I hope you guys all enjoy your weekend. But most importantly, guys, keep it geekly.